Computer. Hey everybody, it is Sunday, March 4th, and this is 6 Weeks to Success, week 4. Everybody doing good? Yeah, all right, do my screen share. There we go. All right. So, whoops, I don't know if you guys can see this, but like our pictures are in the middle of the screen. There we go, move them out of the way. That wasn't supposed to go ahead of me already. Anyway, we're at the halfway point, okay? And you guys are still here chugging away, so give yourselves a big wahoo. If you guys can take turns unmuting yourself and just sharing, I want to hear what something that's been really impactful for your business that you've learned so far. Lindsay, what do you got since you're the first one right next to me?
For me, it's getting a better understanding of why I embarked on this, because it was something I wanted to do, but I never sat down to really think about the reasons that were motivating me to do it. So for me, listening to that video and sitting down and writing and articulating that was really impactful.
Yeah, yeah. The why behind it all. Awesome. How about you, Sharon?
For me, it was really focusing on the hosts and what resonates with them, and making that connection stronger. And yeah.
Host coaching is so important. I definitely, when I first started, I didn't have the show average I have now. It's made my show average go from about 300 to 1,000. Okay, so makes a huge, huge difference. So very good. All right, Carol, what about you? What's the most impactful thing you've heard so far? You're muted, so you'll have to unmute. You're muted. Can you unmute? There we go. I can't. There we go.
It should be in the bottom left of your screen. There you go.
There we go.
I got host coaching is probably the most learning one I have so far.
Yeah.
That's where I think I fall short on is the host coaching.
And you know what? It can turn a business absolutely, 180 degrees. Because when you have more people in front of you, more outside orders, all of a sudden the sales comes and the booking comes too, because you've got more people in front of you, and all of a sudden you're excited and your hosts are excited. They're telling all their friends about all the stuff they got, and more people and more referrals and everything. So yeah, definitely keep going with that. Ashley, you're the last person I can see in the little view here. So would you like to share what the most impactful thing you've learned so far is?
Sure. I actually didn't have any surveys made up. I didn't know how to work it. So I asked one of the fellow Pampered Chef ladies on here how to do one. And since I had 5 people do it, and 4 out of 5 wanted to host a party. So I had no idea. So that was great.
Yeah. So using the survey, but also probably the connections you've made here too, right? Yeah, very valuable. We always say you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And, finding other people who are motivated and working with them, not having to reinvent the wheel because somebody's already created exactly what you need, and everybody's so willing to share. So that's awesome. Very good. Okay, so why isn't it moving forward to the next one? There we go. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about recruiting. Okay, and it's perfect timing with the incentive that Pampered Chef just announced for this month. So remember our 4 pillars of success: belief, passion, will, and skill. So earlier we talked about the belief, not just in our products, but in this business. And you were all writing down all the different ways that your life has been enhanced by Pampered Chef. So again, if you guys could unmute for a minute and just in 1 or 2 words share one way outside of income and products that this business has helped you. You should all know them because it was your homework to write them out. So who wants to share 1 or 2?
Meal planning.
Meal planning's helped with meal planning. Awesome. I love that. What else? Just holler one out. Don't overthink it.
Socialization.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Sorry, I said socialization.
Socialization. Yeah, you get to have fun, meet people. Absolutely. What else?
Motivation.
Motivation. Awesome. Love it. Yeah. I used to be really shy, and now I can walk into a crowded room and feel very comfortable. I know it's hard to believe, but I really used to be shy. So, keep in mind, that sometimes we think, oh, that person doesn't need money, so that they couldn't, they mustn't need Pampered Chef. But keep in mind, there are so many reasons that people can be drawn to this business. It could be income, it could be products, it could be having fun with friends, socializing, it could be because they want to get out of their shell. It could be so many things, personal development, you name it. So keep that in mind, because that will come through. If you really believe that this business can help people in all these different ways, it's going to help you when you're reaching out to offer it to others. And then what's in it for you if you recruit? You might be wondering. Well, how many of you are loving the thought of going on a trip, all expenses paid by Pampered Chef? Anybody? Yeah, I'm going for a wahoo. I don't know about you guys. So when you sponsor a new consultant, you get how many trip points?
3,000.
3,000 for every consultant who qualifies. Okay, 6 in a year, 1 every other month. I mean, my goodness, it's almost 20,000 trip points. And actually more, because if you promote to director with 5, your point requirement goes down. So it's a net gain of over 20,000 trip points. Plus, of course, you get Pampered Chef dollars. If you're new in the business, you get 100 if you're in your first 90 days when your person qualifies. The rest of us, we get 30 each time we have a personal recruit qualify. SC stands for Senior Consultant. How many of you guys saw that post on the Owl Dynasty where I said, what would you do if I gave you 25 bucks? Yeah, the average income when you become a senior consultant is an extra $25 in every single commission check that you are a senior consultant. TL stands for team leader. That means 2 team members. And you guys saw the post where I said, what would you do with $75? Okay, that's the average income of a new team leader with just 2 people on their team. Yay, Sharon, new team leader, wahoo. Plus, you get the joy of helping others. And something happens when you sponsor someone. It's not required, but a lot of times all of a sudden you step up your own game and you have some personal development when it comes to leading others. So lots of great reasons to help, when you're thinking about the person that you are offering the opportunity for, but of course there's also benefit to you as well. So it is a win-win. And then, are you nervous about anything? Anybody thinking, but oh my goodness, do I have to train these people? Who's worried about that? Sharon says no. Sharon, tell me why you're no longer worried. Do I have to train these people?
Oh, because Lisa's got my back.
Right. Because when you are not a director, you're not expected to do what directors do. And when you are a director, you're not expected to do what an upper level director does. Okay, so if you're looking at me, I'm an upper level director. So as a new director, you don't even, not only do you don't have to do what I do. You plug your people into the network that we've got here. We are so fortunate. We've got a whole team of directors that works together. I do very little when it comes to that virtual party outline, except I use it, but I don't create it. But, I have a big role in our Think About It group and trainings such as this. So if those things are already taken care of, you don't have to do them. You're just going to, tell your people, here's where you come for that training. Sometimes people wonder, will I lose bookings? Because, when you have a host that signs on, you often give her the bookings from that party. But the truth of the matter is there's a lot of mouths out there to feed. And in my town of 18,000, I did the math. It would take me 2 years to do a party in every adult household in my one town. And that's just to have every adult in that town have one party. Pampered Chef did research and found that the average person who attends a party needs to then attend 6 or 7 to get everything they want off of their original wish list. But then, of course, they come to additional shows, see different themes, see different products, and add even more on. So that most people need to go to about 8 or 9 parties to get everything they want. So you really shouldn't have to worry too much about bookings. And if you're wondering, do I have the time to do this? Well, you're at your parties anyway. Just a matter of kind of putting it out there, whether it's a virtual party through a few posts and some personal messages, or whether you're at a live party and you're doing a Q&A round and the full service checkout. So it's not more time. It's just, you know, working it into your shows that you're already doing. Now, sometimes when people think, oh, but when it comes to recruiting, sometimes, you know, you hear when you're, you know, you hear about, oh, a recruiting interview. And, you know, sometimes when I think of an interview, this is what I think of, the scene here, this really intense, like a job interview. But really, you know, when it comes to Pampered Chef, it's just a conversation about the business. We're not here to decide if the person is hired or not. Guess what? If they want the job, they got it, right? We're just here to help them discover if they think this could be a good fit for them. The success of an interview is not determined by whether or not the person signs up. The success of the interview is, did we give the person the information they need to make a good and informed decision for themselves? And that's it. So it's just a conversation. So it's nothing you need to be concerned about. Actually, I can't quite see. There we go. I had to move that down a bit. So the first thing when it comes to recruiting is you want to think about generating interest. Okay, you want to get people interested in wanting to find out more. So at the show, we plant some seeds. How many of you right now plant some seeds about recruiting during your show? Not including the Q&A round. Okay, what do you guys do? Lynn and Sharon, I saw your hands go up. Do you want to just share one thing you do that kind of plants some seeds about the business?
I used Lisa's wording. I kind of borrowed it from her.
Good.
And say something along the lines of, I know that no one, you know, came to this show looking for a job. However, I want you to, as I go through this, think about just how easy this could be. Something like that.
Yeah. Excellent. How about you, Lynn?
That's pretty much the same thing I say. I kind of add the end and you can have fun like I'm having, you know.
Yes. Yeah, it's good to kind of get them to put themselves in your shoes. Yeah, absolutely. Other ways to plant seeds about the business can be as simple as when you pick up a product, say, oh my gosh, this came in my kit and I love it. Or, oh, last month, just for doing a couple of parties, they gave this to me for free and I was so excited when it arrived. So it's not really in your face, but those are all little seeds about the business. So yeah, mentioning what comes in your kit, mentioning what you got for free. When I make a mistake, I don't try to hide it. In fact, I try to put a spotlight on it. I say, oh yeah, well, you know, anybody can do my job. For this, they're going to send me to Hawaii for, and my husband for an all expense paid trip. You know, and you can see some people laugh and other people just look like, wow, yeah, she messed up and she still gets paid for this. Every time I forget an ingredient, I used to be a nurse, okay? So if I forget an ingredient, you know, we're making this recipe together and I'm the one that's kind of in charge. If an ingredient gets forgotten, I just say, well, you know what, when I was a nurse, if I forgot an ingredient, you know, I forgot a med, I could get written up or someone could die. But here it's like, oh, well. and it really does kind of plant a seed of, wow, this job's really, really easy. So think about some seeds. Think about what you love about the business and how you can plant seeds during your demo. And it's good if you pick a couple of products that you use at every show that you tie that seed to, so that when you pick up that product, you know what you're going to say. That's just a little recruiting seed. Oh my gosh, when I first became a consultant and ordered my kit, this was the thing I couldn't wait for. You know, things like that. And then the other way that we plant seeds at our Pampered Chef party, the most obvious way, is with the question and answer round. Is everybody doing a Q&A round at their parties? Yeah, good. So during that Q&A round, the point is not to be able to answer every question that they have about Pampered Chef. So it's fine if they ask a question that's from left field and you don't know the answer. Happens to me too. But that's not the point. The point is to pique curiosity. Okay, so you don't want to go on and on and on with the answers. You want to be as concise as possible. And is there anybody who's not doing a Q&A round because they're kind of nervous about it? If you do, you need to speak up because I can only see 4 people's faces, but if you unmute and start talking, I'll hear you. Okay, so I'm taking that as everybody's doing a Q&A round, which is awesome. Some things you can do if you're a little nervous are you can write down questions that you would like for people to ask and put them in a bowl and pass them around. Say, you know what, ask me anything you want to know. If you can't think of anything, pull a question out of that bowl. You're going to get 25 points for every question. Or if you get tickets, give however many tickets you want to. Or some people will print out questions on mailing labels and put them on the catalogs. So you can say, you can ask me anything that you want, but if you if you can't think of one, just ask me what the question that's on your catalog, and I'll answer that. And then people are bound to ask you those. So you can put the ones on there that you absolutely want to know. Anybody have a problem with crickets? You say, okay, ask me anything, and they don't ask you anything. Okay, then you want to think about how you're introing that Q&A round to kind of pull them in and kind of get them excited about it. So when I'm introing the Q&A round, I say, okay, everybody, now I call it the lightning round. Now it's time for the lightning round. This is where you get to ask me questions about the business. And I say, now, I know that nobody usually comes to a party, comes to a Pampered Chef party looking for a job, but maybe tonight's different. I don't know. Show of hands. How many of you came here looking for a job? Anybody? Anybody? And I act like I'm getting all desperate. I go, really? No one's going to raise their hand? And everybody starts looking a little nervous. And I go, yeah, of course not. Nobody comes to a Pampered Chef party looking for a job. But I plant the seed that 50% of Americans are looking for additional income. So I tell them, if you are all set, that's great. But think about it. Half of everyone you know is looking for a job or looking for additional income. Okay? So if you've got 10 people at a Pampered Chef party, guess what? Each one of those 10 people knows about 20 people pretty well. So your Q&A round potentially could be going to at least 200 people. So plant the seed that if they're all set, they should think about people they know, like people who might be paying $1,000 or more per child in daycare expenses, or might have a lot of credit card debt or student loan debt. Okay, so plant some seeds of some people that, because all of a sudden they might think, oh yeah, I got a niece who just graduated from college. Maybe she could use this, or what have you. And then what I do, Sharon, if nobody asks me a question, or if one person asks me a question and then it's quiet, I don't just sit there and go, oh, well, I guess nobody wants to know anything. I go up and I just kind of tap somebody. Hey, Lynn, you need some extra tickets here. Ask me how much it costs to get started. And Lynn's going to go, oh, Karen, how much does it cost to get started? I'm going to go, oh my gosh, Lynn, that's a fabulous question. I'm so glad you asked. And then I'm going to answer the question. People laugh. And then I'll walk up to somebody else and I'll say, hey, Carol, come on, you're falling behind. Ask me how I earn products. Oh, how do you earn products? Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Here's your ticket, or here's your points. So have a list of questions you want people to ask, because you want to remain in the driver's seat in your business. Nobody's going to leave my shows without certain questions being asked and answered, whether they think them up or whether I just hand them to them. And people kind of laugh. So, write down 5 or 6 questions that you think, wow, if they knew this, whatever, the cost of the starter kit, how quickly they make that money back, what your show average is, whatever you think would really just make people take a second look at this business, write those questions down on an index card. And when the Q&A round comes, either put it on a sticker, put it on a piece of paper they pull out of a bowl, or just tell people, hey, come on, you need some points. Ask me this. Okay? On a virtual party, how many of you are doing virtual parties? Show of hands. Okay. So when you do you do the post where it says, ask me anything? Do you ever have people not ask you anything there? You ever have people not asking questions? Because I do during my virtual party what I do during my live party. If nobody asks, instead of walking up and going, hey, Sharon, ask me this question, I'll tag Sharon. Hey, Sharon, you could use some extra tickets. Why don't you ask me, blah, 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 blah. I will also personally message the host and encourage her to ask me a question. Hey, can you do me a favor to get the ball rolling? Can you ask me this? I will look at the people who've accepted the invite. I'll tag a few people in it. And they start asking questions, and I'll tag other people later on who haven't asked questions yet. Oh, that's a great question. Hey, Ashley, you haven't asked anything yet. How about you ask me da 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 da? Okay, so I'm tagging people because if they get tagged in the thread, they're going to see the thread. Who knows if they're going to read it, but at least they're going to know it's there, and they're much more likely to read it. Okay, and of course, we can post about the sign-on bonus. And then that post about, you know, which spoon or apron fits you when it talks about virtual consultant, part-time, full-time, short-term, and all that kind of stuff. For those of you who are doing virtual parties, do you go live on there during your virtual parties? Good. Definitely do that. Research has shown that not only do the sales increase, but more importantly, our bookings and recruiting increases on virtual parties when you go on there live. Because people are probably not going to sign on under someone that they don't even know who the person is. So if you go on there and you do a quick, you know, Facebook Live opening or a video that you've made, that's fine too. Just so that they get to kind of see you, kind of feel like they've met you, that makes a big difference. Also, Mary Haynes, who's the #1 recruiter in our organization, she goes on to her virtual parties and does a little recruiting talk. It's about 2 minutes long, and then encourages people to ask her anything. So she has found that generates maybe a little more interest than just posting, you know, be nosy, ask me anything. So some of those are ways that you can consider tweaking your live and your virtual parties when it comes to generating interest. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. So first we generate interest, but then we need to invite people. Okay, because posting about it is not, or talking about it at a show is not the same as inviting people to consider the business. Okay, so our full service checkout can be at live shows. And you want to, you know, just kind of ask them a few questions. Did you have a good time tonight? Did you enjoy yourself? And hey, so what did you hear about the business tonight that surprised you? Or have you ever thought about doing something like this? Try to ask an open-ended question like, hey, what did you hear tonight about the business that surprised you? That's different than saying, would you like to do this? Or would you like to consider this? If they were quiet during the Q&A round, you could say, wow, you were kind of quiet during that Q&A round. I'm curious, what were you thinking? Because sometimes the person asking a lot of the questions, oh, they've been to lots of parties before, they know what to ask, and they just want some of the tickets. And sometimes the quietest person was quiet because they were taking it all in. Okay. If you see some people in the room that you think they would be great at it, tell them, oh my gosh, you are amazing tonight. Tell them why. You sold everybody on that Quickster picture that you loved, or whatever. Lynn, I remember Lynn, you know, partway through the party, I think I even might have blurted out, Lynn, why are you not selling this? Did I? If I didn't blurt it out, I was certainly thinking it. Okay? So if you see someone that you think would be great at this, and by the way, I was right, because Lynn is totally knocking it out of the park, let them know that you think they'd be great at it. The worst that can happen is they will leave that party feeling complimented. Even if it's a no thank you, they'll feel complimented. And who knows, maybe 2 months down the road, their hours are cut, or their division has a bunch of layoffs. You never know whose life might change. The day Lynn came to the Pampered Chef party was the day she'd given her 2 weeks notice at work. So it was like all of a sudden, whoo, you know, our lives just crossed at just the right time. So, you know, and ask them, are you interested in earning extra money? Could you use a little extra fun in your life? So think of some ways that are comfortable for you to offer the opportunity. One thing that I have changed recently that has made a huge difference is if I ask somebody and they say no, I'll say to them, are you sure? Because if you'd like, and you've got a cell phone, if you want, I can add you to my Think About It group. My team has a Think About It group for people who are curious. I am floored how many people tell me no about the business, but then say, oh, sure, you can add me to the Think About It group. Okay, so that means a no isn't always a no because they're added to the Think About It group. How many of you have added leads to the Think About It group? Yeah. When you do, first ask permission. I never just add people to a group. I know I don't like it if I'm just added without permission. Add them, welcome them, and then tag them in one or two things that you think might be of interest to them. And then just say, okay, great, so I'll add you to it, and I'll tag you in a couple things that I think that might be of interest to you. And if it's okay, I'll message you in a couple of days and see if you've got any questions. Okay? It's as easy as that. And here's a little quote for you. If at first you do succeed, try not to look too astonished. Because very often we don't think there's any leads in the room, and all of a sudden, because we asked, all of a sudden there's someone interested. Okay? And if you're doing a virtual party, you can still do the full service checkout by PMing people. So when all those people who are asking questions during the Q&A round, you could message them. That was a great question you asked. Are you thinking about the business? Is this something you'd like to learn more about? Okay, that's why it's good to tag people, because then they'll start asking questions and then you've got a reason to follow up with them. Okay, what's this? So, if yes, they want information, you can give them one of the Life Tastes Great brochure and then say, you know, I would love to set up a time to talk in the next couple of days if we can, just to kind of explain in more detail how things work and answer any questions you might have. If you're new at the recruiting part, line up a 3-way call with your director or see if they'd like to be added to the Think About It group. Okay? So like I said, if they're interested, don't be too shocked. All right? And like I said, your directors are here to help you with the 3-way call. Did any of you ever do a 3-way call with the director and the recruit lead? Yeah. Sharon, how did it go? Was there a lot of pressure?
I'm sorry, was there a lot of what?
Was there a lot of pressure on the person?
Oh, no. And that's how I became a team leader.
Oh, there you go. See? Yeah. And that's the best way to learn. And just know that we directors, pretty much everybody in the Batty downline, none of us are high-pressured people. We're really about just give people the information they need to make an informed decision. And, you know, obviously address any hesitations they might have, but we are not into twisting arms or pressuring people. Okay? And then there are a few ways that you can have this conversation. There are, forgot about this slide. Like I said earlier, we don't judge the success of the interview by whether or not the person says yes. Rather, we ask, did they get all the information they needed to make an informed decision? And if they did, then feel good about that. Now, there are a few ways that you can conduct an interview. It can be live, in person, over a cup of coffee. It can be over the phone, or it can be like through Zoom or a Facebook chat. All right? And no matter what you're using for your format, because we do have a thing called the 7-question recruiting outline, and we've also got the recruiting cards that the home office has created for us. But the first step is always the getting acquainted. And by the way, I'll be posting these. But basically, we just start by saying, so, you know, I'm so excited meeting with you today. So what got you curious about the business? Oh, wow, that's great. Hey, have you ever done anything like this before? And you just ask these questions, and it really helps you get to know who the person is. But it also is very valuable information so that if they have questions or hesitations, you've gotten a lot of information ahead of time. If they've done something like this before, how did it go? What'd you like about it? If not, oh, that's okay. No experience necessary will teach you everything you want to know. Ask them what kind of work experience. If they're teachers, you know, they probably don't have a problem being in the front of the room. You know, and also then if they think, oh my gosh, I don't even know who I'd have to have a party. Well, you said you were a teacher. There's got to be a lot of people in that school you could talk to. So it just gives you a lot of information about helping them sort of like, you know, kind of envision how it might fit in their lives. Okay, so these are the getting acquainted questions. And like I said, I'll be posting these so you don't have to memorize them. And then the step 2 is find out what they wanted to learn. So we just asked them, so did you come here today because you wanted to learn more about the business? Or because you're interested in hearing about how to get started? It is amazing how many times people go, well, yeah, I already decided I want to do it. I just really want to know how to get started. You know, again, try to pick your chin up off the floor and then just pop right onto the website and help them order their kit. But if they say, yeah, I really wanted to learn how to get started, that's when you can either take out the recruiting cards, which is going to be part of your assignment to kind of look those up. And the cards have, I don't know if we've got a slide with the cards on them, but we've got, you know, they want to learn about the products, or they want to learn about lining up shows, or they want to learn about how much money we get paid. See, if they want to learn more about the business, you just show them the cards and say, so what do you have questions about? Oh, I want to learn how much money we make. And then you flip over the card and it tells, and it's got, you know, the pay structure on there. Or I want to know where we get bookings. And then you flip it over and it tells them where most new people get their original bookings from. Things like that. And then the other thing that we can do is just, if you use the recruiting cards, you can use those, or you can use the brochure, and you just kind of walk them through the brochure, answering any questions they may have. Okay. And, oh yeah, so I'm not sure if I click this, if you're actually able to see the recruiting cards, because I'm not sure if the screen share goes one more deep. So like when I click on this, can you guys see the cards? Hold on one sec. So can you guys see these? Oh no. So you can't see the yellow screen? Okay. All right, well, know that the link is here. So there's the Life Tastes Great brochure or the recruiting cards. So you either walk them through the brochure, and we've got a link for the brochure, or you can use the recruiting cards, and we've got the links for that. Or guess what? You can do what I did, because when I got started with Pampered Chef, they didn't have any of these support materials. I just asked people, so what questions do you have for me today? And I just answered their questions. Okay, so any one of these 3 formats is just fine. It's all a matter of what feels right for you. And your homework assignment is going to be to try these out on people you already know. So you can kind of, you know, practice with people that aren't even really leads, but you can practice with them anyway, just to kind of see what feels comfortable for you. And after you've kind of walked them through that, then you just pop the question. So after you've answered some questions and you say, do you have any other questions for me? And they say, well, no, not really. Then I usually ask, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I never want to do this, and 10 being, yeah, I'm all in, tell me how to get started, where are you? If it's a 10, we just move right to ordering a kit. Here's what I say if it's an 8 or 9. I say, oh, so you're a 9? You know what a 9 is? And they go, what? I go, it's a nervous 10 usually. And usually the person laughs. I say, is that the case with you? And they say, yeah. I've never had a 9 not be anything but a nervous 10, ever. And then I'll say, well, do you want to hear what your next steps would be? And we just kind of baby step them through it. Now, if they say something like a 5 or a 6, I'll say, what makes it a 5 or a 6 for you? And what do you think happens at that point?
You can hear their hesitations and help walk through their hesitations.
Exactly right. If they've got any hesitations, here's where they're going to share them with you. Well, I'm a 5 or a 6 because I'm nervous about this. I'm concerned about that. And this is awesome. This is exactly why we ask the scale question, because it's so easy to say, what makes it a 6 for you? And once we know the hesitation, we can offer a possible solution. Okay? So address the hesitations. These are the very common hesitations that we hear. Maybe some of you have these concerns as well. I have no idea where I'd get the bookings. I don't have the money for the kit right now. I'm not sure if I have the time. I got to ask my husband. And then the one that I used to have the most trouble with, oh, I'm just not sure. Anybody ever hear any of those? Yeah. Okay. So, some possible solutions for where would I get bookings? Well, you know what? It's not who you know, it's who your friends know. We start with family and friends, but then they fill the room with people they know who eat. And a lot of those people are going to be people you don't yet know. So you don't need to know a year's worth of people to have parties. You need to know enough to get the ball rolling. And don't worry, we're going to train you on what to say and to do at shows to inspire others who want to have shows too. Okay, you don't have to give all of these solutions. You give 1 or 2, and then you say, so at the end, re-invite. So what do you think? Do you want to give it a try? So you don't want to just offer a solution. You want to re-invite. Okay. If they say, I don't have the money for the kit, well, my goodness, if you need money, you need the income this business will give you. How much do you think you could afford? See what they say. You can talk about kit credit. I mean, people really, if they have a party first and use $50 of kit credit, they only need $59 to sign up. And then there's some other creative ways. Do you have a birthday coming up? Could you ask for money toward the kit? Can you sell anything on eBay? Could you babysit for someone? Clean their house, do some laundry for extra money. Okay. Again, you don't have to share all of these ideas. These are just potential ideas to share based on, you know, who you're talking to. And then, so what do you think? Do you think you could try any of those ideas? And see what they say. For no time? Well, do you know that each live show is only about a 4 to 5 hour commitment? And actually, it's only about 2 to 3 hours in the home. You have 8 to 10 hours a month? If you do, you could be making $200 to $300. Well, of course, how about being a virtual consultant? And then again, re-invite. So what do you think? Do you want to invest just about 4 to 8 hours a month for a few $100s? Does any of this sound pushy to anybody?
I worry about I have no money, and some of those solutions sounded a little pushy. I worry about that.
Well, if that's the case, what you can say is, well, I've got some ideas, and these ideas are just that, ideas, not assignments. These are just some things for you to consider. Okay? Now, these are people who've said they're interested in the business, and they've chosen to sit down and talk with you further. So you know they're interested. We're not having this conversation probably in the middle of a party with someone who just showed a little bit of interest. This is someone who's like, yes, let's sit down and talk some more. And they haven't said, no, I don't want to sign up. They're like, oh my gosh, this sounds great, but I just don't have the money for the kit right now. And if we can help them find a solution, isn't it better that they find a solution and sign up so they can start making money? I just talked to someone today who didn't think she could sign up. She doesn't have a car. And I said, well, you know, you could start with virtual parties that can help you save up for the car. Oh, wow, I never thought of that. But yeah, if I ever feel like the solutions or ideas that I'm sharing might be perceived as pushy, I precede it with, I can share some ideas with you. I don't know what's going to be a good fit and what's not. And so when I share ideas, they're just that, ideas, not assignments. You get to decide whether or not any of these ideas sound like a good fit for you. All right. Husband. I got to talk to my husband first. Oh, okay, sure. Have you mentioned it to him yet? What were his thoughts? So you do want to find out what the husband thinks. And if she's not sure, what do you think his concerns will be? And I've also said, if you'd like, I'm happy to have a conversation with your husband as well to answer any questions that he might have. But here's a solution that works really, really well. If their husband is like, yeah, is this going to be a money pit? I don't know if this is going to work for us. I'll tell them, if you want, you could think about saying, hey, honey, how about if I give this a try for 30 days? And I promise I will not spend any money except for the kit. After 30 days, we'll sit down and talk. And if we're not both on board, I promise I'll stop. This has helped a lot of people get by any concerns that a spouse might have. Because they're like, oh, all right, okay, $109, getting $450 worth of products. You're not going to spend any other money. All right, 30 days. I can live with that. And for the people who say, oh, just not sure. Again, you want to find out what people's solutions are, because if they're a 5 and they're just not sure, they're never going to turn to a 10. Fear, when left on its own, gets bigger, not smaller. Okay? So I'm always trying to find out what the hesitation is. Oh, I understand. Would you mind my asking, what are you not sure about? Because I want to make sure I've answered all your questions tonight. And if they're like, oh, I don't know, I'll kind of fill in the blank. Are you just not sure if you'd be successful? And a lot of times they'll go, yeah, I just don't know if it would work. And then I'll ask them, so what do you think the worst thing that could happen is if you tried? And then I stop talking. Sometimes they have to process the thought, and then they're like, well, I don't know. And I'll say, think about it. What do you think? What's the worst that can happen? And if they don't know, I'll say, you're going to end up with a kit that's valued at, you spend $109 for the kit. You're going to get $450 worth of products. You're going to try out a couple of shows, and believe me, people will buy from you anyway, even if you're not good at this. Everybody can find a couple of pity parties. You'll probably more than make your kit cost back. And then you can just stop. Is that so bad? And then people go, well, no. And then you know what? No one's ever sure until they try. What do you think about just trying out a few shows to see how it goes? We're not going to sign you up, pat you on the back, and wish you luck. We're going to give you help. We're going to train you. What do you think? You want to just put your toe in the water, try a show or two? And again, I'm asking questions. They're allowed to say no. If they say no, I'll go with a no. But if they're saying, oh, I'm just not sure, I'm a 5 or a 6, it sounds great, but, then I'm going to try to help them through that, because I know the number one thing that holds people back, for one reason or another, is fear. Did any of you ever have a fear before you signed on? I had a list of fears as long as my arm. And I'm so glad I tried. Any of you wish, oh my gosh, that was the worst thing I ever did. I should never have signed up. Anybody think that? No. Right? So I feel passionate that if it's fear that's holding people back, I'm going to try to do my best. Let them know that we're here beside them to help them along the way, and they got nothing to lose by trying. So whatever the hesitation is, so what do you think? Especially if they're nervous. Do you want to hear about the steps on what to do next if you decided to give this a try? And then you can decide if that sounds reasonable or sounds too scary. And a lot of times people, they can't bring themselves to say, yeah, I want to do this. And if they're like, yeah, I want to get started, okay, move right on to step 5. But if not, you can say, do you want to hear what the next steps would be if you decided you want to do it? And if they say yes, they are a strong lead. Okay, so get started. Hey, okay, first step in getting started. What kit do you want? And this is a really fun question. Because if they're nervous, they now stop thinking about how nervous they are. And let me tell you, if they know what kit they want, they are a strong lead. So what kit would you like? Oh, I want the big kit. They've already picked out the kit in their mind, right? Oh, yeah, I'm a go big or go home gal. All right. You know what? And then, okay, so you know what? If you wanted to, you could order your kit tonight and we could line up a kickoff party. If you are willing to go with that person to the kickoff party, then offer that. Say, why don't we see if we can get our calendars together and pick out a date for a kickoff party? I'll come and do that party with you. Okay? If they pick out a date, guess what? They're signing up. Okay? And then hop online and order the kit. If you're not a director, that's when you, and this isn't a three-way call. In the beginning, if you haven't conducted sort of an interview and it's with a real live lead, it's not a practice one, definitely make it a three-way call. But if you've been around a while and you've done some of these and you want to start doing them on your own, okay, great. Then have them order the kit and then just say, so I'm going to have my coach, fill in the blank, Karen or Lisa or Mel. I'm going to have my coach give you a call to set up a time to talk with you in the next couple of days, just to share the information you need to help you have a really great kickoff party. And just share. I'm so excited for you. This is going to be great. I think you're going to love it. Okay, so that's it. If they're still not ready to sign, you know, just make sure that they know all you're deciding right now is you want to try out a show or two with your family and friends to see if this could be a good fit. You're not deciding to get married. It's more like deciding, do you want to go on a couple of dates? And of course, you can sleep on it. The decision's yours. If truly not now, ask them if you can add them to the Think About It group. Or ask them, you know, if you can follow up with them, you know, hey, would it be okay if I touch base with you in a month or so? Or ask them, when would you like me to reach out to you again? But now that we have the Think About It group, get them into the Think About It group, because then they'll be updated every single month on whatever the sign-on bonus is and whatever is going on that makes it a good time to get started. All right. Questions? Comments? I know this is a lot of information. So tonight's the overview, and over the next week is when you're going to really dive in to kind of get more into this. But any questions or comments before we go on to the homework?
I have a question.
Sure. Hi, Cindy.
Hi. What if you're at a okay, I have a couple virtuals. I had like a bridal shower type of thing, and two of the girls were very talkative and said they had, you know, lots of Pampered Chef products and everything, and they did buy something for the bride, but they also told me that they had a consultant. So they didn't want to book a party, and they, you know, I didn't really feel right. Oh, do you want to sell Pampered Chef under me? Because they already said they had someone.
Well, I mean, I ask everyone, and if they say they have a consultant, it doesn't mean that that consultant is looking to build a team or has even talked to them about it. But I do try to refer people back, and usually I'll say, you know, wow, you know, obviously you love the products. Have you ever considered doing this? Because, you know, you can get back in touch with your consultant if you'd like. And even if, when it comes to parties, I've gotten other people's bookings at parties, because I'll say, you know, you're allowed to book with your consultant, and this host can still get credit.
Oh.
Okay? Because their host can still get the 50% off item. But yeah, if they've got a consultant, it's so rare that we have, at least it's so rare that I run into people who say, I have a consultant, that I do try to refer back if I can.
Well, I tried to book parties with both of them. So that
and they said, I got a consultant.
Yeah, they said my consultant probably wouldn't be too happy. But then they said they hadn't had a party in over a year. Yeah. So it had been a while.
Yes.
Plus, I have a lady at the post office that said she had a broken item, and you know, she was loyal to her friend who lives an hour away, and I didn't want to overstep, so I'm just asking what would be the right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if someone tells me they have a consultant, you know, but we usually don't know till we ask. You know, have you ever thought about doing something like this? Oh, yeah, I have a friend who sells, and she's, you know, talked to me about it before. Oh, okay, well, you know, it really is a good time, and it's so much fun to do it with a friend. Who's your friend? I wonder if I know her.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go, well, then they're just making it up. But if they have a name, then yeah, they've got a consultant. And if I know them, I go, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Yeah, you know what? You should give her a call. If it's been more than a year since the party, we've got a ton of new products. And if you happen to book with her, just message your host. She'll let me know, and I'll make sure she gets credit for the booking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had that with Caprice.
Yep.
I came across a fantastic customer who was really loyal to their consultant. I said, oh my gosh, I wonder if I know them. Who is it? She's like, oh, Caprice. I was like, I was happy.
What? You know, if you don't know them, just say, oh, I don't know her. But Caprice is amazing. She's wonderful. So if you know the person, you know, because, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love her. She's fabulous. You know, just give them a little cheer and encourage them, because wouldn't you love it if all of a sudden you got a call from a customer who said, I was just at a party with Cindy, and oh my gosh, I loved everything I saw, and she told me I should give you a call to book my next party, so I am. Wouldn't you be like, oh, that's awesome? Because guess what? The person, if they've got a consultant and they say, I'm not going to book with you, they're not going to book with us. But we can encourage them to book with someone, you know? Right. And our host is going to get credit, and a consultant buddy probably is going to get a booking. And I'm a big proponent of, you know, what goes around comes around, you know? I would love for people to refer people to me. So I'm going to do my best to refer to them. And guess what I usually do? I write on their survey slip who their consultant is. And as soon as I get out of that show, within 24 hours, I am messaging that consultant to say, hey, guess who I met at a show? She hasn't been to a party in a while, and she was eyeing the blah, 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 follow up with her. And so that person's going to message them and say, hey, I heard you at a show last night.
And I can vouch for you that Karen does do that, because I got a person referred because she wanted the Rock from Hopkinton Fair. And Karen called me during the fair to tell me that I had a person coming my way, and I had a $300 party from her. She got her Rock. She's really happy and still
awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that's another reason why I say, who is it? I wonder if I know them, because I want to message that person to make sure that these two people get connected. Good. All right. Any other questions? All right. On to the homework. Okay. So one of your homework assignments is to do 5 practice interviews. Okay, if you can't get them all done this week, I get it, because you have to call people and sort of schedule them. But try to get as many done this week as you can. These are practice interviews. They don't have to be with leads. They can be with your husband, spouse, child. Just make sure they're somewhat adultish. It can be with your favorite past host, sister, whatever. Now, if you have a friend who's already said no about the business, but you think to yourself, man, they'd be great at this, call them up and say, hey, I'm part of I'm in a 6 Weeks to Success series, and I've got some homework, and I need to do some practice interviews. I know you're not really interested in the business, but if I took you out for a cup of coffee, would you talk to me for 20 minutes or so and pretend that you're a lead so I can get sort of used to this process? And you never know, by the time you're done, they might all of a sudden say, hey, I'm interested. You would not be the first one that had that happen to them. Sometimes people change their minds. Okay, so it can be friends, coworkers, past hosts, whatever. You can do some with the recruiting cards, some with the 7 questions, or you can just say, you know, what questions do you have for me, and see what format feels good for you. You're also going to watch a Q&A round that was done by Sharon Zell, and I will post this. Actually, I've got to find someone to post this because I have no idea how to post this. But anybody ever heard of Sharon Zellen? She was the #1 recruiter in the company for 3 years in a row. I think she's dropped to maybe number 3 or 4, but she's a hotshot recruiter from New York. Super sweet lady. And so she had someone videotape her Q&A round. So you can watch. It's a real live show. So you can watch how she does that. And then you're going to pick out a few ways that you are going to tweak your shows, whether they're live or virtual, whether or not you're going to tweak how you kind of get more people to ask questions, whether you're going to tag people, whether you're going to go live on Facebook and encourage them to ask questions, whether at your parties you're going to plant more seeds. So it's not even just the Q&A round, but other things, you know, that you're going to change during your show. Maybe you're going to plant more seeds. Maybe you're going to have people ask more questions, have the questions that you want answered written out, and just feed them to people if they don't ask them. Whatever you heard that you think, oh, I bet that would make a difference. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. When it comes to the changes you're going to make at your shows, pick out 2, maybe 3 things to change. Don't change too much all at once. And maybe you've got some ideas and you're not sure what to change first. Talk to your director about, well, see, here are some of my thoughts, but I feel like if I change it all at once, it's too much. You know, what do you think would be best to change first? And kind of flesh that out. Okay. All right, so this was a pretty heavy topic. I knew we were going to go a little over. We went a half an hour over, so I apologize, but thanks for hanging in there with me. So I'm going to stop the recording now, but if anybody wants to stay on because we have questions about either this topic or anything else, I'm happy.